Hey guys, I'm Amber.
And I'm Brady.
And welcome to
Poor Decisions. So today, you see we have water in our hands because we have a very special episode planned for you guys. No alcohol because we have some very special mommies. So Amber and I have been talking this entire season about pregnancy,
quarantine pregnancies,
about
specifically
babies, about getting knocked up.
Everybody's pregnant. Some of us are trying to stay strong over here. Some of us are holding on. Holding on by a limb.
Hoping that the implant, keeps going, staying strong.
Okay.
But we have questions, and we just said we're going to get moms on the show, and we're going to talk about it. So we have two very, very special guests, two girls that we love so much, ladies. That we love so much. We had a third mommy, but she can't be with us tonight. Not that she's dead, but she's just cannot be on the call with us tonight. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Go ahead and introduce yourself, ladies.
Okay, I'll hop in there. I'm Erica. I went to Spelman with Brady and Amber and also Zane. And I am due in February. I am indeed having a quarantine baby. I actually tweeted not too long ago and I was like, did we betray ourselves? Like, what did we do differently? How was this any different than like every other season of my relationship? But we'll get into that later. I'm very excited to be here. There's lots to talk about. I'm sure our stories will give some type of insight and we're going to have a good time.
Love it.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Janae Danson. Went to Spelman, class of 2015. HK all day. Shout out Spring 14. Contestant, love y'all. I'm so happy to be on this podcast with my profiles. Hey, Big Nam. Hey, Big Skip. Yes, and I'm pregnant. And I'm cracking up because, Because, Ja is pregnant. I feel like that's just still
that's the reaction we had as well.
Let's actually pause there real quick. But Erica, I believe it. You always have given
congratulations, girl.
Mom,
engagement.
I'm gonna be someone's mom.
Yes. She's giving motherly. I
give advice.
Yeah.
You give me, I give advice. Not that you don't. Not that. We
were like when Johnny's pregnancy picture hit the gram, everybody's group chats went up
everyone's group chat. I have leaders of the group chat hitting me up why you might tell me you were dropping a picture today? I was not prepared.
I know. I'm about 4 group chats, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just about to type that and see what's up, because girl, I said, wait. I think everybody you was like, wait, sis, we having a baby?
Yeah.
When?
And I think we all had a conversation who volunteering as tribute to ask her, because we all wait, right?
I think at first people was
yeah.
Is she playing right now? She joking?
Right, are you joking? Because that could very well have been,
right.
You be playing.
I could see it for y'all. This was a campaign.
A food baby.
It could have been a campaign. It could have been a new campaign for something. But it's a fact of my life, and I'm so blessed. I'm so happy, and I'm so excited to be an expecting mommy. Every day I just pinch myself and play with my baby boy, and I just get so excited because I'm going to be someone's mother, and I'm just so blessed to be able to be on this journey. So, but I'm still in shock because what the fuck?
Yeah. And for the record, you look like you have a food baby, and I'm your surrogate.
Listen, little boy has blessed me, okay? Because I'm blessed, okay? Because it's just the stomach that's going, and I'm here. I was thinking I'm about to put on all this vegan baby weight, and the doctors was like, "Girl, you just stomach. You just all stomach."
Girl, because I put on enough for both of us. Child.
And that's a blessing.
Right? Y'all
both look great. And the thing is,
yes, and that's a blessing. Yeah. That's a blessing. Okay. And I think everybody is different. I'm going through this journey realizing that our bodies are truly just so unique and just so powerful to be able to even carry a child. When you think about the difficulties of how hard it is for someone to even conceive, let alone carry full term. And we can get into that later of how much of a blessing it actually is to be pregnant, to still be pregnant, to be in your third trimester. That in itself is such a blessing because it's not a guarantee.
Actually, because you know, one thing I feel like we're seeing more like with social media in 2020 is like people are a lot more like transparent and open about like what they've been through. And like to your point exactly, like with Black women, we hear like it's so common to like have or maybe just women in general when it comes to like miscarriages and stuff like that, and just, you know, not being able to carry full term or like whatever is happening. And like I feel like it's a beautiful thing too that people are more open, because it's like you could be more relatable to each other.
Yeah, it's not such a taboo. And I also think, and sometimes like I go back and forth whether it's like me just I haven't been paying attention, you know, because that just hasn't been like my circle is not was not doing that. So maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe people were really ashamed. And if that's the case, then that is, you know, that's really sad.
Yeah. I mean, I think for a while it definitely wasn't discussed in the way that it is now. But it is a true statement. Like, I remember being so anxious about gaining weight. I never actually knew that it was a thing for me because I've always been relatively smaller. So I never knew that it was like a mental thing until I started gaining weight. And I actually lost my first trimester because I was so sick. My morning sickness was like horrid. I'm still on a prescription to this day. So for nausea. And so I lost weight, and then I started gaining in my second trimester, and every pound that I gained, I would like get anxiety. So I actually don't weigh myself anymore. And I have to tell myself, you are so blessed that you have been able to carry a baby and that your body is doing something so miraculous that like you have to give yourself a break. And I remember when I looked up like what if I had her at 25 weeks, what was her viability for life? Like what if I had her at 26 weeks, if I had her, and at 28 weeks, it jumps to like 80% chance of life. So I'm now about to be 33 weeks. So if she came tomorrow, she would probably be okay. And there's such a relief in that you don't even think about. Like I never even gave that any thought before I was pregnant. And then you get on this journey and you can feel them kicking and moving and responding. And like you have conversations with them. I read her books every night. Like you're so invested in this alien being in your body that you're like, oh my gosh, okay, so how do I make sure she gets here well? And it's a crazy, crazy thing. So it is truly a blessing because not everyone's so blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, you know, I've always just been so interested in like the reproductive system and just like women's bodies. Like, you know, I think we took women in bio at Spelman, like was one of the requirements for everybody. And I was just so obsessed. But thought my journey was going to be another at least 5 years, if not even more. But when I got pregnant, and as soon as I got pregnant, which we'll talk about later, I was like, oh, I got to get a doula. You know, like I have to have a doula. I have to have an expert like by my side to make sure that this journey that I'm going on, if I don't know everything, at least I can have an expert that's by my side to help me walk through this, because there's so many disparities within just like Black women and, you know, maternal health care that just are crazy. And, you know, the system is not set up to protect us. So I was like, I want to go through this journey to make sure that I feel protected, that I feel safe, that I feel knowledgeable about it, because I'm going on this journey. And I think just my history of just doing marathons and being plant-based has helped with just like my experience. And that's why I think everyone's experience is different depending on what you were doing before you were pregnant, what you're doing during your pregnancy, and even after pregnancy, but postpartum, really truly impacts like the different type of things that you do day to day, from like a mental, emotional, and physical standpoint. So for me, my first trimester was great. I was eating a lot. I wanted some weird shit. I wanted like randomly like frosted flakes.
No cheese? Yeah, what's the vegan pregnancy craving?
A vegan pregnancy craving was in Portland. I was in Portland when I conceived, so I was there for like the first trimester, and it was a cafe not too far from my apartment, and I would go there every single morning and get this vegan BLT with avocado on it, on an everything bagel. And it was fake bacon. Yes, the vegan bacon was lit, and it was fake mayonnaise and tomatoes, but it was so good, and that was the only thing that I wanted, because the bacon just tastes like you know, it tastes like regular bacon. So that's what I was craving. And I was craving, I also craved in my first trimester. I almost broke. Like I was talking to the father of my child every day. I was like, I want some crabs. I just want to dip some crabs in some butter so bad. Like I was just like, every day I just wanted to eat like seafood. Some crabs. I wanted some like king crabs. And I wanted to dip them in some. No, hell no. I made me some oyster mushrooms. Hell no. I was like, it was just a craving.
You have these crab legs?
Yeah.
They have alternatives, but it's not the same. I tried it. I tried to make some oyster mushrooms. It wasn't the same, so I just kept eating other shit.
That's so crazy.
Wait, I have one question before we go on. So with your doula though, are you going to do at home birth or hospital?
I think that's a mistake. People just hear doula and you think like water birth, like in the house, which maybe I'm like,
so originally, yes, that was my plan. I was like, I'm gonna have my baby at home in a pool. I'm gonna get one of those blue pools. I'm on a natural birth. Y'all know me. I'm plant-based, marathon, holistic, all of those vibes. So I'm still going for it with a natural birth. But I'm gonna go to the hospital just because you know, I want to make sure that if there was anything that I needed mentally, I would feel safe knowing that I would have access to anything in the event that something was needed. And my second or third, you know, God willing, pregnancies, I'll be able to do those at home because I would have went through this experience. This is something I've never done before, so that's why I wanted to do it at a hospital. But still have my doula by my side. I have a whole team of midwives at my hospital ready on deck. They all ready for Ja. Y'all know I'm crazy, so I done been to my doctor's appointments. So everybody know my name. Ready for my natural birth. I did my music playing, my aromatherapy, you know, my everything up in that room. It's gonna be a vibe. It's gonna be a vibe. The whole Janae
I like the hybrid approach, like still in the hospital, but then have the doula. Like, I could do that. I know for a fact I'm not in home birth. So that is not going to be me.
But also me, give me all the drugs.
Epidural me. Yeah. ASAP.
What about you?
Yeah, no, that's so funny because my pregnancy was also a surprise, and I actually didn't even really want kids, so I did not anticipate. Okay, we'll talk about that later. But I say all that to say, I feel like had I been
that's on the running show, might as well say it now.
We'll talk about it later. But had I been like more prepared, like people who actually sit down and say, we're going to start trying today, I feel like I probably would have been more holistic. And it's so interesting. The discipline you have before you're pregnant follows you through pregnancy. So like, I am not a disciplined eater. I'm a balanced eater, but definitely, sorry, someone's calling me. I'm a balanced eater, but I'm definitely not like super disciplined. So I was like, what, Craig? Okay, cool. I haven't even had beef or pork in like 5 years. I ate half a steak my first trimester because I was craving a steak for so long. And I was like, I have to try it. Yeah. Never ate it again. Don't really have a desire to, but I had to have it. And I was like, forget this. I'm having it. So you're so far ahead of me. But my OBGYN is a Black woman who graduated from Spelman. And she so I think it's a regional thing. I didn't go the doula route, and I don't necessarily people have doulas in Texas, but I don't know that they utilize them as much as like the Midwest and the West, especially the West Coast rather. The West Coast is real big on doulas and midwives. So my priority was a Black gynecologist, and that's what I got. And I love her a whole lot, and I'm going straight to the hospital. I am going to, I think, try to prolong my epidural as long as possible, just because once you get it, you have to stay in the bed. Your legs are numb. And I want to be able to be up, to move around, to use the birthing ball. Like, I want to be able to help her, because I read somewhere when you're having a baby, you're working together. So a lot of times you hear about this pain, but your mindset should be, my baby's working with me for me to have a safe delivery. So with that, I want to like assist her in like, you're doing your part by traveling through my birth canal. So I'm going to do my part to make sure my body's in the right position to receive you. So I want that to be at the forefront. And then if I just can't take it any longer, then I'm definitely going to do an epidural at some point.
Do it though. Like, wait, the slaves was busting it open. Okay.
They were.
And we hear. So I'm like, hey, it's like, you know, to lay in a bed now at the hospital, like that's not, you know,
I don't gotta do that
ideally
no
did.
Somebody gave me an example, like, would you take a shit laying down on a bed? And it's like, no, I wouldn't.
Right.
So it's like, why do you want to deliver a baby in that same way?
Like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't take a shit on the toilet, like laying down like that. Like naturally, you would be squatting down or doing something differently. Yeah. You know what I mean? So similar to what Erica was saying, like, I want to be free. My biggest thing is like, I have a huge fear of epidurals. Like that's why I'm like, and I'm just like, I just can't even imagine having one. Because I'm just so scared of them. Like I'm just scared, like my body, I've never not been able to use my legs or like feel my legs or the lower half of my body. And like, you know, just as a dancer and a runner, I'm like, I want to have full control. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I've obviously never given birth before. So, you know, I don't ever want to downplay the importance of epidurals and how painful it will be. I just know me mentally, I just cannot imagine myself having an epidural because I'm just scared of it. So I want to be able to like be on my birth ball, be on my squat, have my squat balls, bars, and be able to do any position I need to just really be free. You know, if I need to scream, the bitch is gonna be walking and screaming, but my hands right on my back. Not, you know, like because that's just I just want to feel free. And like Erica said, it is a partnership in this process. And I'll be talking to my doula every time we chat, and we just discuss how you're going through this pain, but you know why you're going through it, right? Yeah. It's not like this is just a pain that happens every week for the last 10 weeks of your pregnancy. Like this is a pain that's going to go in waves, right? And it may not be as painful as you are anticipating it to be because you've never been through it before. So for me, it's just really important to have a holistic experience and be able to remember this from start to finish, and have full control over my body, and be able to welcome my son into the world, be able to do what I need to afterwards. So, but just be in the hospital just in case some shit go to the left.
Should go left.
I love that. I love the hybrid approach. Okay, so can I ask you guys a real question? I think this is the one that we've been like wanting to know.
All right, let's get into it.
How did we get here? Okay, because Amber and I have been asking quarantine,
the baby boom. Like
condoms are still a thing.
Why now?
Where's this?
Yeah.
This quarantine shacking.
Wow, yeah. Let's get into that. So I actually approved this with my soon-to-be husband. I went over this entire story because I said, he's so different from me. He's like, you just say anything and I'll be so embarrassed. So we went over this story.
Yeah.
I told him we have to keep it real. So here's our thing, right? I'm a crazy person, and I mark when we have sex on my period tracker. Let me first say, we're both extremely spiritual. So we've always in our relationship gone like bouts of abstinence. And so we always have like this, like, okay, we're doing so good. Oh man, we slipped up. Like we're doing so good. So we really didn't have like I was gonna say a shit ton of sex. We really didn't have like any more sex than I've had any other month. Like can count on one hand. So for me, it was just like, okay, so there wasn't like a crazy uptick of like, oh, now we have all this time, so we're just getting it in. To say all that, Kyle said a prayer. Like right before we having sex, I was like, let's just come on, like just one time, we'll do it just one time. Let's just come on. And so he's like, fine. Like she wants to really have sex. Like, and he said a prayer before.
The Sierra prayer?
Yeah, because he was like, I'm really trying to stay strong, but like she kind of wants like, okay, it'll be this one time. And he was like, I just felt like there was gonna be a consequence. And he was like, you know, whatever, we just did it. So immediately after, I kid y'all not, like literally going to the shower, I was like, I didn't. I was like, I asked Kyle, I said, do you think I should take a plan B? Because I will pop a plan B, okay? I said, do you think I should take a plan B? And he normally, so Kyle's older than me, wants to be a dad, like not afraid of having children at all. I was like, team, I'm not about to do that.
Yeah.
So he normally is like, don't take a plan B. It'll be fine. Like, you don't need that. This is the first time in our relationship that he was like, yeah, go get, if it's gonna help you sleep at night, like go get one. So I said, no,
it wasn't
I'll
effective.
be fine. That's just me being crazy like I normally do. I'm sure it'll be fine. I want you to know that period never came.
Like, so it's not 99.
No, she didn't take it.
No, I never took it. I didn't take it.
Girl.
That was the first time Kyle was like, take it.
Well, it won't do anything if you are pregnant. It'll just only
it would have worked. It would have worked had I taken it.
If the sperm has already reached the egg, like it ain't nothing that plan B
could do. Right.
But the plan B is there to like stop the
It was the same day. So it would have worked. Like it was the same day. So had I taken it, it would have worked. But Kyle was like, yeah, go ahead. And I'm like, that's not like Kyle. Kyle normally says no. He never condones that. He's like, don't do it to your body.
Erica,
so I was like,
did he pray out loud? Do you know what he prayed for?
I don't know. No.
Okay.
I just know. He told me later on, he was like, gosh, I felt like in my gut, I felt something different. And he was like, but I didn't like think anything of it because I thought it would just be this one time. It will be fine. Like, and it was not. So, I mean, it was fine. But then we had a baby. So I was like convinced that I was pregnant like 2 weeks later. And it was very early on. And I just kept thinking it. So literally like 2 days before my period, I was like, this doesn't feel right. I should have more symptoms. What's going on? Like, what's happening? And my sister was like, you're just being crazy. It's fine. It's coming. So I took a test. Memorial Day was that Monday. I took a test that Saturday. It was negative. So my friends, my sister, like the people I was closest to were like, see, it's negative. You're fine. It's fine. I said, no, it's not. My period is never late. And at that point, it was like a day late. But I was like, my period is never late. This doesn't make sense. I swear. I took another test that Tuesday after Memorial Day, and it was the faintest of lines, like insert pic here. The faintest of lines. You could barely see it. But I was like, that's it. I'm going. And I went and bought the most expensive pregnancy test I could find. That clear blue that says pregnant or not pregnant.
The store brand.
I did.
That's what you keep under the sink.
That's the one that you have to just take that one periodically.
You get the public brand underneath your sink, just to like.
That's right. So I took that clear blue test. That thing said pregnant, clear as day. I said, wow.
Clear.
I was like, Kyle. And he was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, it says pregnant. And he was like, so this how you tell me? And I was like, this is exactly how I tell you.
Oh, that's funny.
So there was no special, like, these people were like, oh, I'm going to decorate it. I'm going to do something special. None of that. I was freaking out.
Wow.
So that was our crazy story. And we are here. And I was like shocked.
And you're doing it.
I love it. Oh, I love it. Wait, that's so funny because like when people say when you know, I'd like be like, what are y'all talking about? But it's so true. So
I know all the time, but it's not.
Listen,
I don't even feel like when you were talking about like your symptoms when your period comes on, like I'm like, am I even in tune with my body? Like,
and I think that's what it is.
So like, it's probably different when you're not on birth control. Also, like your symptoms.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. I'm like, shit, I probably wouldn't even know what's going on.
Yeah, me too. But
you definitely know. You for sure. But I will say, I've had pregnant, like in my mind, I've freaked myself out more times than I can count. This was very different. Like it was almost like an instinct and a gut feeling that like didn't exist before.
But in retrospect,
the animal instinct of like you just know.
Mm-hmm.
But in retrospect, or do you really?
No, like I was just like, either I was a self-fulfilling prophecy or something, but I just like I was waiting on the positive test. Like even with the negative test, I was like, I don't believe that. That's not like I know it. I know it. I don't know what it's gonna take, but something.
All right, y'all. How you get pregnant?
Okay, let me give y'all some context. So, y'all know I went from New York to Portland. So before I left for Portland, I had took my IUD out. There's 4 decisions. I'm gonna give it to y'all real straight. So I was on an IUD for at least 3 years. Just try to lock it up. So,
same girl. I had IUD and took it out.
I had an IUD, so I took it out y'all, I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm bisexual. So I was in a relationship with a woman right before I left Portland, and I was like, I don't need this no more. What am I doing? So
also
I took it out.
Right.
Also, a lot of reason people are still shocked. They're still trying to figure me out. You will never figure me out. Live your life.
I love
it. So I took my IUD out. I didn't need it anymore. So I thought. And I truly do believe everything happens for a reason. I go to Portland. I'm working at Nike for about a year, and I'm there. And March happens, quarantine happens, and I start running a lot. So this is the part where it went from my periods being on IUD schedule to them being very consistent, right? And me being very in tune with my body. So from about January until I got pregnant, my periods came on at the same exact time for the same amount of time, the same exact symptoms. Like, and I had that app on iPhone, Flow, where you keep, a track of your period. So I would put it in here. I'm like, I'm not even out here in Portland with nobody. I just want to know. I just want to keep track. Mm-hmm. So wasn't really sexually active, but I was on top of it. I was running. I was eating the same type of things, and my period was coming on. I didn't have any cramps. Like, I was feeling good. This is the first time in like 10 years I never had cramps or never felt like nauseous before my period came on. So reconnected, sent one of those "Hey Big Head" texts to one of my old homies. We dated back in 2015 in Atlanta. We've known each other for 5 years now. We've always just been really cool. Like, I think I told this to Bird, but I was like, he's like the prototype of somebody that I would love to be with. Our chemistry is just unreal, and he's like really just somebody that I truly love. But he's my homie, you know what I mean? And like, we know that that's what it is. It's nothing more, nothing less. And it was beautiful. So, obviously, niggas was bored. I'm gonna tell y'all how most of us got here in quarantine. Niggas was bored, and you hit him with the "what you doing, big head?" And he flew out from DC to Portland to come spend time with me.
He was real bored.
I know.
Okay,
right?
flew out.
Either he was bored or he was, missing something.
He's ready.
I don't think he was that bored. It was a little combination. Might have been a little bit of it. Yeah, we hadn't seen each other in I think about a year and a half at that point. So it was like, okay, I got time, you got time. Niggas just chilling. He comes out. I remember the exact day, June 6th, and
3:44.
Yeah, no, literally. So he comes out. And I remember that day, I was just so excited because like, this is my homie. I was just so excited to see him. And yes, so the act of itself happens. And I remember, and I tell this to him all the time, I remember during sex, I was like, "Get off me, I think you just got me pregnant." Literally said that out loud.
I think that's like, so weird how people be knowing.
In that moment, I was like, yo, I think, and I've never been pregnant before, like ever. So I don't even know how I knew that, right? Because I've never had any scares. I've never, been on birth control since birth control has been out, and just never had any scares before. So in that moment, I don't even know how I even felt that in my spirit, but like my soul was like, oh, this ain't like how it usually go down. And I was like, yo, I think you really just got me pregnant. I remember him being like, I wouldn't do that. Like, why would you think I would do that? I was like, can you just give me a minute? And I really needed a minute. I just like literally had to have a moment with myself. I don't know why it just came over me. I had to like say that. So the rest of the weekend is there. We chilling, just having the time of our lives in Portland in quarantine, just being us, having a great time. He goes back. And I was planning my big event for Juneteenth for Run With Ja. I had like over 500 people come out in Portland to run with me for Juneteenth. So during this time, I'm thinking I'm stressing because I'm trying to put together this huge event by myself with the help of my friends from Nike. But this was a Run With Ja event. It wasn't sponsored. It wasn't anything. This was just me planning it. So I'm like up really late doing my programs, printing things out. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just going through the motions. I remember on the 19th, at my run, doing my first leg, being like, damn, I feel like, a little sick right now. Like I feel lightheaded. I feel like something is not right. And I'm like, girl, you just tired. You need to eat something. And on June 20th, my period was supposed to come on, and it didn't come on. So I'm like, oh, girl, you was just stressed this week.
Been stressed.
Yeah,
where are you?
It's been a week.
I'm just chilling. I'm just like, your emotions been everywhere, girl. You fine. Girl, you fine. But I was just like, this is, my period has never been late, So I'm just chilling. So then June 21st gets here, and I'm like, huh. Huh. So maybe it wasn't the stress because I'm feeling good now. I was like, girl, just wait till tomorrow because sometimes it just be a little delay. It's a little backed up. You just a little backed up.
It's stuck in traffic.
So I remember that morning I had called him and I was like, just a heads up, I'm gonna take a pregnancy test because my period not on, but it should be on tomorrow. But just in case it's not, I'm gonna just go get a test real quick. And one of our neos actually was in town, and I was like, girl, you wanna go with me to Walgreens real quick? I need to go get a pregnancy test. And I remember we went. We got first response, the pink and black box, the pink, white, and black box. I came back to my apartment. I smoked 2 blunts because I was like, if this is positive, this will be my last sesh. But if it's not, then I'm gonna smoke 2. I smoked 2. I said, because. And if it's negative, then I'll just roll up another one afterwards. It's no problem. So I remember like smoking and our neo goes, yeah, because if it's positive, Ja, I'm literally taking all of the weed. And I was like, that's fine. Because I'm like, it's no way. I'm like, it's stress. Went to go take the test. Y'all, it say wait a minute and 30 seconds for the results. That shit popped up in 10 seconds. It was like 2 lines. I was like, what? Mind you, I'm high. So I'm like a little delayed.
Read this for me. Reading the box. Reading the directions.
Reading the box. I'm turning it upside down. I'm trying to flip it around. I'm tapping it. I'm like, it's
reading the instructions. Let me just wait.
So I'm like, oh my God, y'all. I'm like, girl, the test is positive. She like, no way. So I was like, girl, give me another puff. I gotta go take another test. So I took the second one that was in the box, just to be safe, because it was like 2 of them in the box. And that one, again, literally 15 seconds, it was like positive. Ooh. I was like, what? So now at this point, y'all, like going back, because I know exactly the day I conceived, it was, this day, but gestational calendar, they do it the first day of your last period, right? So technically at that point, I was just under a month pregnant. But for me to be able to like catch on that quickly, it was wild. And I remember going to like a like one of those like pregnancy clinics in Portland. Portland is, just very liberal. They have all types of shit. And her pregnancy test said it was negative. And she was just like, he was like, you maybe come back. She said to me, and I remember writing a letter. I remember calling the supervisor, like, writing a report. I'm gonna write a letter. And she was like, I don't know why you would come in this early anyway. You would have just missed your period. And I was like, listen, I know my body. I know my body very well. There's no way that I'm taking multiple pregnancy tests and they're positive. There's no way that my period is missing. I'm very in tune. I have the same exact diet, like the same exact routine. Like I know that something is different with my body, and I believe it is a pregnancy. And she was like, well, my test came back negative, so maybe if you want to try back. The next day I took a blood test because there's ACG levels in your blood that can determine if you're pregnant, and that in fact came back positive. I called up there so quick and cursed them out, just to let them know, because that's something in regards to like, Black maternal health. You going here, you're telling me I'm not pregnant. I could go back and be smoking all the weed, doing all the things, whatever, thinking that it's not. And instead of you just being patient with me or, giving me some more advice or taking another test, you just are like, girl, why you even coming here this early? Like, you shouldn't even came in. So it felt very dismissive. And in that moment was like, oh, I'm definitely getting a doula, because it was like, oh, y'all, this shit is real. Like, like y'all really don't give a fuck about us. Called the father of my baby. It was like, so what you thinking about a baby name? Because we pregnant.
So what did he say?
He was in shock. He was in complete shock. I mean,
silence?
if you were to fly out to Portland just to get you a little something and fly back, and you leaving with a baby, you flew out there with a carry-on, and you're coming back with a goddamn baby. I mean, you might be in shock too. So, it was a shocker, but he is still like the most supportive person. It took him like a week. He needed some time to just digest it. And he came back and was just so excited. And every day we've just been able to just talk about this journey, how to be co-parents, and how excited we both are, because again, we're both still really good friends, right? So we have that foundation. that we're going off of, and because of that, we were able to just be goofy as hell. You know, my first trimester. So even though I was in Portland, he was in DC. We talked every day, and I didn't feel alone at any point. You know, I felt so supported, felt so, you know, just appreciated. And he was sending me stuff all the time, so it just felt good, and I was just so appreciative to be like going through this journey with him. So yeah, when you know, you know.
Such a good story.
But can we connect the dots here? Because like I feel like and maybe I heard incorrectly, but it sounds like both of you were very in tune with your bodies, and both of you did a little bit of tracking, and both of you, the tracking went wrong.
The tracking just stopped.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Did tracking go wrong though?
It didn't go wrong. The tracking stopped.
Well, my tracking didn't go wrong, but it's funny. I took a test every day, and she's absolutely right. Like every day, it turned positive faster. I caught mine extremely early. Like I was all of, based on my last period, 4 or 5 weeks, which means it was literally maybe 2 or 3 weeks since I actually conceived. And they couldn't find her heartbeat. The first time I went, I had to do a blood test and then go back because your hormone levels should double every day. So that I went on a Monday and then a Wednesday, and they had to confirm for my blood test. And then my first due date was actually January 28th. And then I went back when they were able to measure her, and it changed to February 8th. So based on my ovulation, I wouldn't have been pregnant. Like I ovulated late. And
so don't trust the tracking system.
Girl. I mean, know your body.
It's only so good, right? Because you could ovulate early, you could ovulate late, like.
And
it's basically like 2 days out of the month, for the fuck's sake.
Let me tell y'all something. So I look back when I missed my period on June 21st, that Sunday, when I was like, "Ooh, it's been 48 hours." And I look back at the calendar, and I realized on that day, on the 21st, that we conceived during my ovulation. Like. We were exactly. So I was ovulating. Like that was the most perfect day for me to get pregnant. And I did not even realize that. Like I wasn't, because I've never paid attention to my ovulation date because I was not sexually active in Portland. I didn't have a partner out there. There was no reason for me to be like, all right, we're not fucking on this night because a bitch might get pregnant. You know what I mean? I had no reason
so that was me. So, I watched my ovulation. I skipped my ovulation every single month. So like I knew exactly when I shouldn't be having sex unprotected, and we would carry ourselves accordingly. So like she was just meant to be, but yeah, like you have to know your body. And I knew that's why I was like, maybe I should take the plan B, because I felt like I was still in ovulation, but based on my calendar, I should
technically based,
yeah.
So track and pull out method.
Correct.
Well, the pull-out method ain't work because I still had the rag on the corner to prove it. I was like, I thought the rag was right here with the damn shit on it.
Oh no, that wasn't
look, we come. It's all types of shit, but like God's plan, right?
Yeah.
No, that's why I'm like everything happens for a reason, because like he was supposed to be here.
Your two oops stories that are going right.
Yes, like two oops stories, and like to be real about the oops, because that's what we be confused.
That's
by.
the problem.
Like we're like, okay, so you're having sex unprotected, like you're not on birth control, like niggas didn't pull out, so now you surprised you pregnant, but like
1 + 1 is 2. 1 + 1 is 2. Okay, that's all I'm saying. 1 + 1
you know how
is
people
still
are
2.
always like, no, I mean that doesn't necessarily mean that. Like they skate
around,
it does. Like. But
no,
girl,
1 + 1 is 2.
No, it does.
No birth control,
exactly
no condom. You pregnant.
So wait, this brings me to the next point, because and I'll start with the story, because I was like literally on Twitter. So another thing that's popping off in quarantine is like engagements, which we love to see it as well. It's the babies and it's the engagements. And I think I was like talking shit. I was like, damn, like if my man ever plans a photo shoot for me to propose, like I'm gonna know some shit is up, because like when do niggas ever plan photo shoots to propose? And then you commented back to me and you were like, yeah, I would think the same thing. I'm so happy my fiance did it this way. And I'm like, wait, are congrats in order? And it was like so casual, and you like hadn't even told anybody nothing yet. And then everybody's responding on Twitter like to our conversation, like, congrats, Erica, congrats. I guess I'm about to post now that I got engaged.
Yes.
I'm like looking at your Instagram. You know, you gotta check. Like, am I late? Like, I missed something. You're like, no, it just happened. Like, whatever.
Yesterday.
I think you said a month ago at that point, though.
Yeah, like when I posted, I had been engaged for like over a month, and I didn't say anything.
Right.
But
so
yeah,
that's like long-term plans with the baby daddy.
Yeah. So Kyle, it's so funny. He was planning to propose in Aruba. We have a trip planned in July. We thought we would still be able to go.
Right.
I find out in between this time that I'm pregnant.
Ooh,
and COVID. So like trip gets canceled, COVID comes, we're stuck. And he was like, so then I find out I'm pregnant. And he was like, oh shit. People are gonna think she's gonna think I'm doing this because she's pregnant. So like I had already, you know, I'm crazy. So I had already like, I didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. Yeah. So girl, I'd be doing the math. Like I'd be like, I looked over his shoulder and I know how much he got saved. And we were talking about our savings.
Now I saw it's a little less.
And I said,
where that money go?
And what happened? Where you been?
What happened?
So I was like, okay, so it's coming. But
okay, so ring is approximately so we use subtract.
And so he ended up doing it anyway, and we did it at home. He did like a cute little scavenger hunt, like kind of around the house. And I had no idea. I was actually very, very sick because it was my first trimester. He tried to get me to Dallas with my family. My whole family was in Dallas and was like waiting for me to come. And I was like, I'm not going. I'm sick. I'm throwing up. I'm not going.
Aww.
He was like, what am I supposed to do? I wouldn't do anything. So he literally was like, hey, I need you to go find something in the closet. And I was like, no, what? And he was like,
look, your legs broke.
He was like, no, just go look right there. So I don't remember what it was. So I went in there and I'm like, Kyle, I don't see anything. So then I come out and he's like, okay, maybe it's something. Can you just check the shop drawer real quick? And I'm like, Kyle, you sitting right here. This don't even make sense. I'm like,
irritated.
Like, damn. And I was like, fine, I'll look. I was like, but I'm not looking anywhere else. So I opened it and I was like touching in the drawer and I was like, that's a box. What's going on? And I turn around, he's like on a knee. And I was like, and anyway, I should have brought my engagement box, but I didn't know this was coming. There was a spotlight in the box. So like on the ring. And I was like, and that's all I really remember. And I remember him asking some kind of way. And I said, yes. And then that was it. But, it was.
Do you remember what he said, or were you just like,
no? I really like
remember in that moment.
Yeah, like it's like such a surreal thing. Like you imagine it for so long, and you think about it for so long that when it actually happens, at least for me, I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually getting engaged. Like this isn't just, oh girl, I think he about to do it. Like, girl, I done sent him these rings. I be pinning on Pinterest. Like it's totally different. It's like it's actually happening. So I was like, whew. And so I don't know. I just remember him like asking. He said something sweet. I remember him asking, and I remember me putting my left hand out. And he was like, "This is the right hand," and I was like, "Yes, the right hand." So
I know.
I've been waiting.
I've been practicing for this moment.
That's my life.
So yeah. So then from there, and after that, he was like, okay, so we have to get the ring insured. And also you can see that I've purchased this ring months ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was so important for him to show me that he had purchased it before I was pregnant, because he was worried that I would think he did it because we were pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's fine, Kyle. Listen.
It's fine, Kyle. I already seen the withdrawal from the savings.
But I appreciate that, you know?
Yeah.
I think that. Yeah, I do too. I love you, and I wanted this to happen before we got a baby. It's just a bonus.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So
and we're actually getting married on December 27th.
Wait, what? Another
quarantine wedding. We're just doing checking all the quarantine boxes.
So you guys are like, we want to get married before the baby's here.
Well, we knew we were gonna do that anyway because of COVID. So like, even if I wasn't pregnant, you can't really plan a wedding right now because you don't really know when it's gonna be safe for larger crowds. Like even with the vaccines and all that, like you can't really do it. And so we were like, so do we wait until like literally maybe a year or two plus, because what's happening is 2019 brides were doing 2020, which now pushes 2021. So even venues, it's hard to book your venue. They're giving first priority
next year.
Yeah, no, I'm actually a fan of like the quarantine wedding, because when I was thinking about it too, then you know some people are like, oh, let's just go get married just as a piece, and then like have a ceremony later, and it's like, are you really gonna do the ceremony later? Like at that point, it's like you said, like what are we really? You know, we'll be waiting for how long at this point?
Honestly, I was talking to somebody yesterday who is like talking about, like her and her man are talking about like next steps. And her and I were like, honestly, the quarantine wedding is kind of the vibe, because we can take all of our money.
First of all, we cut in this guest list, okay? I can't have all these niggas no more.
Okay.
So, and I feel like it probably like started a trend of like smaller weddings anyway.
Listen, we married now. I'm about to pop up like Erica with a brochure. You see me and my man. Not a brochure.
Not a brochure.
That's it. And that's exactly
an announcement.
We married now.
We planned a family-only ceremony and still had to cancel it because of the COVID numbers and them traveling in. So it will literally be us, our minister, and like the park that we always go to that we took our engagement photos in. So we're excited.
And a photographer for the
Yes, we have a photographer. We have a videographer. We'll be wirelessly mic'd. Like it'll be like a whole thing that we're gonna figure out. But it'll be just us. So.
I love that. Okay, I feel like there's nothing else. Yeah, wait.
Okay, so what's the plan?
What is the plan?
No marriage right over here. But I think that's something that like a lot of people like were asking me. I think it was like, wait, who is she with, and how is she pregnant? I thought she was gay, and all of these things. And for me, I think it was really important for me to just stay true to myself in that moment, because I'm not like a traditional person, right? I don't value marriage. I feel like in the most traditional sense, or the way that like society makes us feel like we have to value it, right? Like you have to get married first, and then you have to have a baby, and then you have to. I just didn't see my life going in that like traditional order for myself. I just always been like a free spirit, unapologetic, and just wanted to do life on my own terms. So when I got pregnant, it was never a moment where I was like, oh my God, my mom is going to kill me. I'm not married. Because my mom knows me. She was been waiting for me to get pregnant for years. She's been asking for a for years. And I'm like, girl, I'm running another marathon. I'm trying to go to London next year. Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, all right, well, let me know when you're done with these marathons so I can have a grandbaby. But when I got pregnant, I was excited because I come from a family full of support. My village is so supportive. And I knew in that moment that I was safe, that I was okay, and that marriage wasn't something that was going to be like a determining factor on if I kept this baby or not, right? As soon as I found out I was pregnant, after I was like done and I was smoking my weed, I was like, well, I'm keeping this baby and it's about to be lit. Like it was never a question like, oh my God, I got to think about this. Like it was.
Your thought process have been different if your relationship with the baby dad was like turbulent, do you think? Or not turbulent,
no.
But like you think you would still be?
No, I remember going into it because I was like, this is about to shock the shit out of him. And I remember mentally having a moment with myself like that night being like, you got to be prepared to do this by yourself because everybody doesn't think the same way that you think. And I always told myself if I were to ever get pregnant, that I would always keep it just from a spiritual standpoint. And you know, because 1 + 1 is 2. And I probably got myself here too. So for me, it was as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh, it's about to be lit. I'm really about to be somebody's mom. And never did I ever question, oh, I'm not about to be married. Oh, people are about to judge me. I've never cared about that. So
you were never concerned about like being a relationship, like, because that's a real thing, right? Like like turbulent relationships with baby dad, and that can make your life, 18 years, that can make things very
drama.
Yeah. And I think I just led my life for most of it just super independent. Like my mother and grandmother and my father raised me to be so independent that was never something I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this with him? It was always like, all right, girl, well, let's get prepared to do this by ourselves. Okay, what this raise looking like? Okay,
I feel like that's the mindset of some of the.
I don't think that's the mindset of most
Getting pregnant.
I think pregnancy is so directly tied to relationships, to marriage, to, you know, like an order, to, you know, security, to you're just so many different things where at the end of the day, it's your body, it's your life, and you're either going to be a mother or you're not, and you're either going to have support or you're not, right? Yeah. And that's how I looked at it, right? Like either way, I'm not the first, the last, or the most important person that would ever have to go through this, right? Okay. So I was just like, girl, you ain't the first person that will ever have to be a single mother. You know what I mean? And there's so many that have been in these shoes before you that have done this. There are so many women who have had so much less than you who have done this at a great gesture and who have done an amazing job. I look at my mother, I look at my grandmother who have raised me and my siblings and have done an amazing job with us, got me through college, got my siblings, and they're so smart and educated and taken care of and loved. And I'm like, that's a result of the village. That's the result of our upbringing. That's the result of love. And it has nothing to do with anybody else is doing in their world. Yes, it would be nice, sure, to have the most perfect relationship and be with the most perfect person. But even when I look at marriages, how many of those are actually perfect? You know what I mean?
None of them.
Relationships are actually, you know, there are relationships that are turbulent, you know. And I looked at the father of my child and I'm like, this is somebody I consider one of my best friends, you know. This is somebody I laugh and joke with all single day. You know what I mean? This is somebody that I just enjoy being around. And if I'm in a relationship with someone, do I have that same feeling with them? You know what I mean? Like if I'm married to someone, so, you know, and that was what my thought process was. So I never once pressured myself into being like, okay, girl, you know, you got to get married. I was like, oh, this is about to be some fun co-parenting. This is about to be a fun partnership.
It sounds like I feel like a lot of, it sounds like you have a really unique situation because you have so much support.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
It doesn't sound like he's going to be absent. Like you guys are going to co-parent. Like even though you could do it by yourself, you're still going to have the partners.
Like,
which is a blessing. Right.
Mindset. It's going to be like, I could be doing this by myself, but it's not.
I don't have to.
And that, and that's a blessing where I feel like a lot of people would be like, shit.
Or a lot of dads be like,
no.
Good luck, especially during quarantine. Like, no, that's not what this is about. It's 2020. You have to figure that shit out. Like you said, I think it comes down to the support, whether you're married or not married. That is what is the most valuable thing for me. And I think healthy relationships, whether married or not married, are so much more important than just having the status of it. Because I see so many marriages, you know, people get married and, you know, 1 year and then a few years later they're divorced. And what's the value in that? You know what I mean? Like, what is...
I remember you said something interesting to me. You were like, is it like better? And I mean, I don't think any way is right or better or worse, but you were just like, you know, so many of us are like products of divorce. Like it was two, you know, people, you came into the world with them together and then saw them break up versus like, okay, two people that were already just independently co-parenting and then maybe seeing them come together. I never thought about it in that way.
And I'm a product of divorce, right? Like I am, I've witnessed it, right? And I remember how I felt when my household was split. Because you grow up and that's your norm and then it's not anymore. And then I remember growing up and, you know, as you get older, you and your friends start to talk about these things more and you're like, damn, your parents divorced too? Damn, yours is too? Oh shit, yours is divorced too? Anybody parents together in here? Like, what's your life like? And I didn't see that. I didn't have that growing up. Like, I didn't know what that was even like, you know. Step parents are a thing. I got a whole bunch of step brothers and sisters and half brothers and sisters. And I just was like immediately like, you know, I'm not going to force a relationship on me and the father of my child just because we're together. Like if it happens, whenever it happens, like it will happen, you know. And if that's in our future, if marriage is in our future, like then let that happen when it's supposed to happen. But right now, my focus is me and my son, and I'm just so excited to do that and to focus on that because he'll grow up in two different environments, knowing two different, you know, lifestyles and cultures. You know, my plant-based dad's and his dad's non-plant-based dad's, but you know, like just seeing and being exposed. Hell no. Oh no, that is a non-negotiable.
So he goes,
My baby will be plant-based. My baby will be plant-based, and I'm like, listen, I'm gonna have the food. I'm gonna have the food, meal preps, and everything. Listen, like
take your snacks to your daddy.
Right.
Yeah, my mama made me bring these.
Right.
Man, I love going to my daddy's house.
Hey, you got real bacon? Should have given me carrot bacon. I don't like that shit.
So we talked about the date that it happened, the whoops. And the whoops in the room.
Initial poor, not so poor decision.
The initial not so poor decision. We talked about baby daddies and co-parents. We talked about birthing plans. We always like to close our podcast out with a poor decision. Generally, we're drinking, but again, we have moms, so we're drinking water and lemonade for you guys. So a poor decision meaning POOR during your pregnancy or just in life in general.
Yeah.
Anybody want to volunteer to go first?
Oh, that's a good one. Erica, you go first.
Girl, I'm trying to think of a poor decision. Is this supposed to be something that like I regret or something? You know what? This is gonna sound really
regret.
Like
just like
y'all
it could have been different.
Me and Kyle were talking about last night. Actually, we were talking about. So Kyle and I were friends. He's side chapter. We knew each other when I was on the yard, and so
side chapter.
Yeah, he crossed in 08.
Okay.
So he was on the yard, like he was leaving out as I was crossing as a sophomore.
Yeah.
So I knew Kyle on campus, and we actually have a picture together.
Fresh.
Way back when. But anyways,
that is hilarious.
We were
House love. Like, why is it always after school? I guess that's when the maturity kicks in.
It is. It truly is. And that's so funny. So a poor decision was like not having this level of like love and I talked to Kyle. We were talking last night. I had gone through a breakup, was like circling back, and I saw Kyle in Compound. This had to be like 2014, 2015, I guess. And he was like, "What are you doing with this person?" And I was just like, he was like, he must be like this really special person for you to like keep circling back, because we were friends. Like he knew some of the ins and outs, but not much. And I was looking, I was like, no, I think it was, I'm just in a cup. No, I just think it's worth giving it a shot. Like whatever I was saying. And Kyle was like, okay. He was like, but I just think you deserve better. And like, that's just it. He texted me, we talked about it last night. He was like, you were talking to your husband and you didn't know about another man. Ooh. And so like the
like I was to say something like I saw on one of them ignorant ass pages. Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband.
Oh, don't.
Period. It's not my fault, y'all. Okay. I just read it. It was a comment on the page.
But yeah, so I feel like my poor decision was like, granted, I'm so grateful that all my life happened the way that it did. So no shade to anybody, but like my poor decision truly was not like getting my blessing sooner, because Kyle was always there. Like he was always there, and it literally took a wedding in Atlanta that we both traveled to. His line brother married my line sister, and we saw each other at the wedding, and then we started dating. So that was my poor decision, that I was just out here in these streets.
Wow, that was disgusting.
He saved you from the street. He saved you. You in Compound, girl.
He really saved you from the street.
He did. He pulled me right out.
All y'all stories are so good.
Yeah, wow. I love
that so much. Oh. Well, I had a pour in a few years. I stopped drinking in 2016, but
oh wow.
I stopped drinking in 20. So all my decisions that I made since 2016 have just
been conscious.
Just been decisions. They just been decisions. I'm trying to think of one before I stopped drinking, a poor decision that I made. That's a good one. I remember, okay, this was a poor decision. This was like 2014. I was in Paris, and I remember pouring up in front of the Eiffel Tower. And I remember in that moment, that is when I like decided that I wanted to like pursue advertising for a career, because I was like interviewing during that time and like getting ready to come back. And I was determined because Paris is so creative and it was just so full of art. It was just so beautiful that I knew I just wanted to make sure I continued on in that feeling of just artistry and just creativity. So I was like, I'm gonna do advertising full time. I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna figure it out. And when I came back that semester, this is me being sappy under the Eiffel Tower with champagne. It was like €2. I came back and I got my first offer to like start my career. And because of that job, I've been able to like navigate in this space, you know, work at Ogilvy, Anomaly, and Nike, and where I am now with Camp Grizzly, you know, the Ivy Parks, the Beyoncés, the Adidas, and the Apples, and all of that. So I think some poor decisions can lead you to your destiny, right? Like some poor decisions can like be like, this is what I really want to do, and it scares the shit out of me, but I'm gonna fucking do it. And I'm really excited about what this could potentially be. And then you sober up and you're like, all right, bitch, you gotta figure this shit out. And then it's like, you know, your life happens. So I think be, you know, conscious in your decisions, but also pour out, because sometimes you need to let that fear go and just.
Dude, you only live once. It's like it makes you a star, right? Like you gotta go through it.
You gotta go through it. Period.
Well, shout out to you. I can't wait to have this baby. I'm having a margarita first.
Yeah. And you're having a girl, boy.
Yes.
Congratulations. I'm so excited for you. It sounds like you're having
You're February 1st?
I'm February 8th.
Oh, yes. Come on, Aquarius. I'm due February 28th.
Oh, 28th. Okay.
Is that a Pisces?
That is a Pisces.
Pisces boy. A Pisces man.
Woo! I know. My dad is a Pisces man. I'm like, Lord. But I'm so excited.
Wait, do you have a name?
I do have a name. My son's name will be Hendrix, with no vowels. So excited. Me and dad.
That's another question.
No vowels. My mom is still trying to convince me to put vowels in, and I'm like, honey, it's not happening. His name look. Okay, I'm gonna knock this on right now. With his name on it. It's no vowels. Hendrix.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes.
Getting more popular, like yours with the no vowels will be like unique.
Yeah, and that was a part of it too, because I was like, ever since Future dropped his album, everybody naming their child Hendrix child.
Literally, you wrote it out like Future did.
Actually, the other mom, her baby's name was Hendrix. We were just waiting for you guys.
Her baby's a girl. So
I love that. So when me and Daryl found out we were pregnant, we were going over baby names, and I told him, I was like, Hendrix has been like a name for me for so long. You know, I'm named after a singer, Janae. And obviously, like, Hendrix is tied into Future Hendrix and Jimi Hendrix. And I was like, I would love for, like, you know, my baby to have a cool name, but also, like, still following this vein of music, you know, as a dancer, all of this other stuff. Yeah. So he was like, I got to think about that. That's different. He was like, I actually love it. So I thought I was having a girl. I was convinced. I was like, I'm having a girl. I know it's a girl.
I was like a dancing baby. Like, we were
ready. I thought it was a girl, and he was convinced. Yes, and he was convinced it was a boy, and it ended up being a boy. So I was so happy. I was like, oh, I'm just so excited. So Hendrix, no vowels.
Dudes are cute.
You said, oh yes, yeah. That's my baby is cute. Yes,
he's not side, but you know.
He's not side character, but he know most of the side character. He know most of the side character.
I actually thought I was having a boy. Swore I was having a boy, and I'm having a girl, and her name is Zuri.
Yeah.
Zuri. So
Zauri. So.
Oh my God,
I love it. I love the Z. I love the Z.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Keep y'all.
Thank
this has
you.
been so good.
Listen, I've been holding my pee in for like the last 30 minutes.
Oh, look, the mama's holding their pee in.
No,
I pee every 5 seconds.
Putting the myths to rest.
Yes.
If it's a oops, ladies, it's a oops. Let it be that.
It's so important.
There are beautiful stories that come out of oopses. You see it right here. Thank you guys for joining us. Pour up with your water and cheers.
Yes. Thank y'all so much.
Bye, y'all. We had so much fun.
So much fun.